What is something people don't realize is a privilege? Hot showers. Holy shit. I was homeless for a year and a half. And there was a time I blew 50 on a motel room specifically to take a hot shower. I remember pulling off my cold wet socks and just collapsing into the hot water, sobbing. Felt like all my problems went away immediately. Being able to quit a job without fear of losing financial stability. Yet it's amazing how often people act like someone can just quit their job and go someplace else if there's an aspect of their employment that's even slightly distasteful. Having your parents to fall back onto for help or advice during adulthood. I've been estranged since I've been 16. Life ain't easy navigating the world alone. Edit. Thank you everyone for the awards and sharing your stories. I've been feeling quite down about this topic in the past few weeks, but reading everyone's story here makes me feel somewhat less alone in the world. This is so true. Sometimes I just wish I had someone to go to for advice or even comfort. Sewers. A literal city of tunnels you never see, draining and moving water in and out of your town city, completely hidden from view. It's a duck in luxury and you'd be surprised how much of the world doesn't have that, while the rest of the world never even thinks about it. It is also amazing how much work it takes to keep sewers operating. Have you heard about the crews in London who have to go into the sewers and break up giant fat balls clogging things up? Like 13 femolet in diameter. Pure congealed grease fat. Not sure why I've only heard of it happening there, but it's because the sewer system in London is pretty old in comparison to most other ones. So it was built with a much smaller population in mind. Despite that, the engineer who designed them, Joseph Bazalgette, made it so they were double the size required for the population of London in the 1860s. Getting as much sleep as you need. Yeah, that's totally a privilege. And also having nice dreams. A lot of people keep having nightmares, which sucks, so yeah, thank God. My dreams are usually night terrors and are incredibly vivid. They wake me up before I enter deep sleep, so I never get actual restorative sleep. I used to have constant night terrors and nightmares. I read a book on lucid dreaming, and it really helps. I never got to the point where I could just lucid dream every night. But I remind myself before I fall asleep that my dreams are all in my head and I get to say what happens in them, and that if something bad happens I can change it. It works 99% of the time. I don't go fully lucid, but I'll have a split second if oh wait I forgot I can fly out of here, or oh look, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come to help me. I really recommend it. It's made life so much better, and if it matters to you like it did me, there's nothing woo woo about it. It's all just science in your brain. 1. Going to university. 2. Being able to just do university while you're at university. Number 2 is a super weird concept to me. At least where I live, Utah. You say it's pretty rare to not have any kind of job while you're in school. Even for people well off. I know all of my friends either worked or had internships. When I was at university in the UK, I was one of the only people in my course to have a job because I couldn't get support from my parents. Course lecturers would judge you more too because you couldn't do uni work all the time. Going years without cancer or sickness. I've had cancer twice, and I still feel privileged when I think of the people I met in my ward who never made it out or ended up with permanent damage. Being able to spend time and money on hobbies. Being able to have a hobby that isn't for making money. I feel like a lot of people feel pressured to commoditize their interest and turn hobbies into side hustles. I started making resin projects, and then literally everyone I showed them to except my BF's angel of a mother analyzed which ones I should make en masse to maximize sales. I didn't have an online shop and already had a regular job, but people considered it to be a waste of my time just to make things recreationally and told me so. It made me feel so crappy I just quit my hobby for about a year until I got new friends and they encouraged me a lot. Showing someone important to you a thing you made creatively and then being told it has a zero value can be crushing, so please be nicer to each other, okay? Not having to worry about war directly affecting your life and livelihood. This is a big one for sure. Not everyone gets to have a proper childhood. Go to school, and then go to work. Some people are just surviving. Having access to dentists in childhood. Getting braces paid for you by your parents as a teen. I'm in my 40s with braces. My parents couldn't afford it, and I waited until my kids, the ones that needed it, all got this done, then it was my turn. If I had gotten braces as a teen, I'd like to think my massive underbite could have somehow been prevented. However, at the end of this year I'll be having surgery on my top jaw to move it to the correct position. I had an underbite when I was really young and my parents just said, "You need to fix that, or you're going to be really ugly when you get older." I can't remember how old I was, but anytime I thought about it, I would push on my teeth to try to fix it. As I lost my baby teeth and my adult teeth were growing in, I would use my fingers to push the top teeth past the bottom, then clamp down as hard as I could. It was constant pain for me, but I thought it was the only way to fix it, since my parents hadn't given me any other options. Obviously I didn't do a great job of it. Most of my top teeth are over my bottom teeth, but several are horribly crooked. One is turned sideways 90 and my top canine on the left side is stuck behind my bottom teeth to the point where I used to bite my tongue all the time. I'll still wake up with my tongue sore sometimes from biting myself in my sleep. My right top canine is a baby tooth. The adult canine never had a chance to grow in because it grew diagonally over my other teeth. 3 of my older sisters have had the same problem, but my twin sisters had it the worst. My dad is super stingy with money and didn't want to pay what insurance didn't cover, so my mom went to her parents for help. They paid to get my twin sisters braces. I asked my mom if I could get braces too, and she said no, then would threaten me not to ask my grandparents to help because it would be too embarrassing. My twin sisters made fun of me for wanting braces so I could be like them. Who the duck wants braces? I just didn't want crooked teeth in adulthood, and I didn't want to have to pay more for any issues my ingrown tooth would cause in the future. I didn't even get my wisdom teeth removed until I was out of the house and had to pay for it myself. It was only like $200 to do for all 4, and I was bewildered my parents had decided to wait on it just so they wouldn't have to pay. All of our kids have had braces. Growing up, I had braces. My wife's family did not do braces for any of their kids. As a parent, you should want your kids to grow up feeling confident in their appearance and without ongoing dental issues related to crooked teeth. We couldn't afford it with each of them, but we did. You sacrifice to make their lives better. My wife, who is out of town with 2 of them, said to me we have good kids. Couldn't agree more. Clean water, plumbing in general, toilets, faucets, clean drinking water. It's gotta be one of the greatest advancements in civilization and has saved more lives than any other invention. Having caring parents. You have to say that. You're my mom. No, she doesn't. My mom never did. Same thing in romantic relationships. It can be very easy to fall into the trap of thinking every partner is going to compliment you, tell you they love you, and so on, because they all do that when so many people are in loveless marriages without any of that. Having access to technology. Edit referring to electronics. This might sound silly to some, but the other night I decided to change my bedding randomly and realized how lucky I'm to be able to swap to another clean set on a whim. Clean laundry, multiple blankets, a whole drawer of socks. Those things make me feel rich. A lot of people don't have another set of clothes or a clean, safe bed to sleep in. I had a GF that drove around with packs of brand new socks to give to homeless people. It never even occurred to me to give them anything other than food or money, since those are the most obvious things, but I imagine socks are one of the first clothing items to get destroyed when you've been homeless for a while. 100% this. Socks and underwear were the #1 thing the guys who I became friendly with at the GWCC MARTA station Atlanta requested, and I happily obliged. If these items will help someone feel better, more human, I'm here to provide. We take things like this for granted. Toilets. I'm from USA, didn't have a flush toilet until I was 7. Early enough that a flush toilet still feels like the normal thing, but late enough that I still appreciate it, since I remember potty training with an outhouse 50 yards from the house in Maine, which is ducking cold in the winter. My dad also grew up with an outhouse in Maine, but he's just turned 80, and I figure you're younger. It's weird to me, and a privilege, that he grew up going to an outhouse and my master bathroom's toilet has a built-in bidet. Eating 3 meals a day. Eating daily. Eating. Air conditioning. I follow a lot of bakers in the UK, and lost all are saying it's not baking weather. And I realize they don't have AC. Funny thing is, in the old days, lucky families coped by having a summer kitchen outside. It didn't mean they weren't hot, but they didn't heat the whole house up with their wood-fired cooking stoves. I noticed that I was privileged with eating to my taste. My dad told me how in Mexico they ate what they had. It was rural farm life. I mean, he continued to eat that way even living here in America. He would buy me and my sister whatever we wanted and make eggs and beans for himself. I can eat Mexican food, Japanese food, Chinese, burgers, Italian, whatever really. Poverty and hunger do that to you. I eat leftovers, ration my food. We are a family of 3 adults, 1 toddler, and we have massive pantry. We have enough dry food to last a family of 5 a whole year. I never noticed it until someone pointed it out, and I remembered being hungry as a child. My sister is the same way. I completely understand this. We were really poor when I was a kid. I would get yelled at if I went in the fridge to get something to eat, because there was only enough for the next meal. I was always going to bed with my stomach rumbling. When I had kids of my own, they had whatever they wanted to eat, and more than enough choices to pick from. The same with Christmas. We had barely anything under our tree. I spoiled my kids so much. You know what though, they never grew up with that spoiled attitude. They were very thankful for everything they had, and continue to get. They have never gotten in trouble at all, and are so well rounded. They make me proud to be their father every day. That's a good story, glad they turned out good people. I went through a similar situation growing up. Every penny was accounted for. One thing I notice I do now is, when I come home from the grocery store, I always take everything out and set it on the counter. It's almost like I have to view my bounty all at once. It makes me feel very fortunate, and a full pantry is a blessing. Having loving parents and a healthy marriage. Yes. Growing up, and even now, visiting my friends' homes and seeing their parents so loving toward each other and their children would make me emotional. Running water 24/7 every day. I live in a dry cabin in Alaska, and you bet the minute I move someplace with clean and running water, I won't ever forget what a blessing it is. My family often rents out one of the Forest Service cabins on PWS a few times a summer. The first time, it was my first time going anywhere without running water really. As an adult, plenty as a kid, but as an adult we saved up for a camper with water tanks, and I was shocked at how much water we used to just drink and cook and brush our teeth. We didn't take showers or have a flushing toilet or anything, just for eating and drinking. The second time we went, I accidentally dropped one of our water jugs while carrying it to the cabin, and it happened to land perfectly on a rock and punctured. I about had a meltdown over losing a gallon of water. A gallon of water can save a lot of lives. It's a matter of perspective. Going to school. Exactly. Too many people take education for granted. Being able-bodied. Maybe it's cliche, but seriously, all that can change in less than an instant. You never realize how much you take health for granted until it's screwed up. Health is the crown on a well man's head that only the sick can see, grandpa. Decent mental health. Well, some people seem to breeze through their life goals. A lot of people suffer in ways that prevent them or slow them down. It's a privilege to have most of your emotional needs met and have the stability needed to focus on developing your artistry skills. Being able to enjoy total silence. Duck tinnitus. Just having dependable, safe hot and cold running water on demand. Living in a country with access to not only basic needs, but conveniences and luxuries as well. Edit autocorrect sucks. Having the freedom to focus on things like hobbies or finding your passion instead of just basic human needs like keeping a roof over your head and food in your stomach. It's hard to be creative when stuck in survival mode. Running water 24/7 and most of 365 days. Stable electricity, the kind that doesn't shoot light bulbs out of their sockets. Sane traffic patterns. Mostly clean fresh air. Stocked shelves in the supermarket. Weekends off work. I think about this every Saturday when the gardener comes to mow. He brings his son to help him. My kids are sitting in their PJs working on coding projects, while his son is out helping the lawns. That is his kid's Saturday off school versus mine. The danger is that someday, if my kids become programmers or whatever white collar job, they will look back and say, it's because I worked hard to gain these skills, taking for granted the privilege of the time to do it. Driving a vehicle. Executive function. Anyone in your life that you think is lazy, messy, etc. likely has some kind of executive function deficit. It's common with depression, ADHD, ASD, and other mental illnesses. Imagine sitting somewhere, knowing you should do something, wanting to do it, but there is this weird mental block preventing you from getting up and doing it. That's one of the many ways exec dysfunction manifests. It is heck seeing normal people just be able to do shit. And that goes for fun. Happy things just as much as shitty, chore type things. Even going to the bathroom when you feel the need to can be a struggle. Driver's license. Having a loving parent and a partner. Being in the life of family members. I have yeeted people from my life who have made big surprised Pikachu faces for things like stealing from me, emotional abuse, hitting me even though they didn't mean it, they were just drunk, upset, emotional, whatever. I give zero ducks about blood. If you want a place in my life, you keep it by being a decent person, and that goes triple for relationships with my kids. Edit: I do not let people around my kids just because they are blood related. If they are abusive or creepy, they don't get a free pass to be near my children.